1. 5 months. I have worked at this property for 5 months. And in those 5 months, I'd say 9 out of 10 guests have been overly pleasant. Every now and then, someone will complain. Someone will be really weird. Someone will have horns blown on their behalf and a red carpet thrown across the door, as not to soil their pristine, super shiny status shoes. But for the most part, the guests here haven't been so bad. Then this past week, the sun fell behind the darkest of clouds, the temperature dropped below freezing, an eerie silence befell the rolling hills and frigid mountains. The leaves eagerly fled from the trees to burrow deep in the ground, hiding among the company of bugs and other critters terrified of what they sensed was coming. Dawn of the Karens. "We want a quiet room, no road noise," a big bag-toting dyed blonde-haired creature bellowed at me and my coworker upon entering the lobby. Our hotel is nowhere near a major road, but okay, maybe you don't know that. Not even 10 minutes passes, and the situation repeats with what was undoubtedly a clone. "We want a quiet room, no road noise," a big bag-toting dyed blonde-haired creature bellowed at me and my coworker upon entering the lobby. Later, the lobby doors open once more.
"Do you have to work Thanksgiving?"
A lady asked me on check-in one day before the holiday. "I do. I'll be here." She puckers her lips in feigned sorrow.
"Oh,"
she coos.
"I hate making my employees work on the holidays."
"I bet you feel real bad about it as you drop $200 staying with us tonight, ma'am." Another lady walks in.
"I'd like to check in."
"Okay, what's the name?"
"It's under my husband's name."
"Is he here with you?"
Excuse me, sweetie, but no, he's not."
"He'll need to be here with you to check in. I don't have your name on the reservation."
Excuse me, sweetie, but no. Other properties have let me do this before."
"We can get in touch with him to verify you're allowed to check in under his stay."
Excuse me, sweetie, but this is ridiculous."
"Fine, call him." And I call him, and he's okay with it. But that's not the point. The situation repeats, albeit a little differently, sometime later.
"I'd like to check in."
I find a reservation and proceed to start the check-in process.
"This is my husband's credit card."
I stop and look at her. "Is he here with you tonight?" She looks offended.
"Excuse me, sweetie. He's in another state, but said I could use his card."
In my head, I am now pleading for Thor to strike me dead with a merciful bolt of lightning. "I can't use his card if he's not here," I reply.
"This is ridiculous. Other properties have let me do this before."
"I'll bet they have."
"I'll just step out and call him," she threatens,
disappearing into the night. I don't see her again for the remainder of my shift. An older couple approaches the desk shortly after check-in. The man is balding, pale, and speaks like the worst impression of Tom Brokaw you've ever heard. His wife is smiling, pleasant, sweet.
Yeah, so we'd like to book another night."
"Sure,
I thought we were going to the other hotel tonight."
No, we're staying here."
"But aren't we?"
Would you shut the hell up?"
"You said—"
Brokaw turns to her and hoists a bony finger to his crusty lips.
Shh.
I stand there stunned, watching the freak show of a late-night marriage that will almost certainly end in either divorce or an episode of Unsolved Mysteries. As they walk away, I hear the wife saying,
"Don't ever talk to me like that again in front of people."
Brokaw returned later that night to throw his dirty towels at me and demand a fresh set. My coworkers have reported similar encounters. Again, none of these normal, at least not in such a short span of time for our property. Our guest verbally assaulted my coworker.
"I don't know if this is the Mastiff's way of getting a laugh by pissing off the customer."
Because the settings on his television were off, another guest moved 6 rooms 6 times. 6 times. 6 times. My coworker was visibly shook detailing the story to me. She was super rude, and no matter how many times I moved her, I could not make her happy. Nothing worked. You know the type. They come in looking for problems, and this week we've had them all. You've got your awful mother-in-law, we've got your rude grandfather. The influx has been extraordinarily noticeable, and this ridiculous holiday is my #1 culprit. It wasn't all bad, though, and I'll end with a positive note. One older guest was determined to make me laugh and kept coming up to the desk with jokes that he thought were super clever, even though many of them were played-out dad jokes that I've heard a million times. But I could tell he genuinely enjoyed making others smile, which I appreciated, especially the last few days, so I played along. But this one actually got me. We had a few dozen moments of downtime, and this guest approaches the desk, smelling a little boozy from a night out at a nearby steakhouse.
Okay, so when Beethoven passed away, he was buried in a churchyard. A couple days later, the town drunk was walking through the cemetery, and he heard some strange noise coming from the area where Beethoven was buried. Terrified, the drunk ran. He had the magistrate to come listen to it. When the magistrate arrived, he bent his ear to the grave, listened for a moment, and said, "Ah, yes, that's Beethoven's 9th Symphony, but played backwards." He listened a while longer. There's the 8th Symphony, and it's backwards too. There's the 7th, the 6th, and the 5th. "Backwards?" asked the drunk. "Why?" Suddenly, the realization what was happening dawned on the magistrate. He stood up and announced, "There's nothing to worry about. It's just Beethoven decomposing."
This guest always has a place here. But the other ones, I hope when the new year hits, they stay far away for another 11 months. I'll take my regulars, my super shiny status members, my just passing through folks, my weird, sketchy locals, and the occasional Karen. But this week has been too many in too short of a time period, and I need a break. Have any other properties noticed a change in guest types since Thanksgiving week started? 2. I hate this fucking job and want to vent. I've never hated customer service more in my life, and almost all my jobs have been customer service. The property I work at is very low on staff, so I work alone a lot. I guess that's fine, except when it's busy, and especially when there's no manager or anyone on site, which is often. Whenever someone asks to speak to a manager, which is often, it's hard to get a hold of anyone if it's one of the managers on duty, or the AFOM day off because the GM is barely ever here. We also have about 4 housekeepers when the building needs about 20, so many people don't get their rooms clean or trash taken out. Guess who has to hear their complaints? And have people pointing at me saying, "You are going to clean my room today." Excuse me? No, I will not be cleaning your room. Maybe one of the 4 housekeepers might get to your room today, if we don't have too many rooms that we need to make available first. So many bad reviews saying the hotel is dirty. Some people's room was still dirty when they first entered it. A lot of people complain about the dust, trash, or things like a hair tie left on the floor upon receiving the room. I was also barely trained before I had to work alone. I was hired with no prior experience. We did maybe 1 or 2 days of training and then working mid-shift the rest of the week to allow someone to offer support to the morning and evening shift. I had no idea what I was doing. I'm pretty sure I gave a few people free rooms because I didn't know what I was doing. And it made me so fucking angry that I was brand new to this job and they put me at the front desk alone. It just seems like a recipe for destroying your business. Letting some new person who knows nothing run the desk alone. It's literally like pulling someone off the street and having them run your front desk with no experience. When I work with someone else, it's either another person who started at the same time as me, or a new assistant front office manager who was just recently onboarded because we had no front desk manager before. There's so many bad reviews about how dirty this hotel is. Apparently there's trash littering the hallways because no one knows what to do with their trash. Good luck finding the hotel on Google, though, if you want to leave a review. It isn't listed. The only place to leave a review is on the online travel agency website. The business not being listed confuses so many customers. They are often afraid they just made a reservation with a non-existent hotel. I hate every question everyone asks me. I know I have to get used to it because that's a job and I have to learn about all the different requests as I go along. I'm so tired of giving people directions. I just work here. I lived in this city most of my life and still have issues navigating it. I live in another part of town, so I don't know this area. This is the tourist area, and probably the last place in the city that I'd ever go on my own. I do not know how to get to all these fucking bullshit tourist attractions and shit people want to go to. Just use Google Maps. Fuck. I can't believe how many people I have to Google directions for. I have people asking me if I can book them tickets to a show. No, I fucking can't. I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about or why you can't just call the theater and figure out this information yourself. I'm so tired of apologizing for how fucked up and dirty the hotel people are paying, sometimes, $500 a night for. There are big-name famous luxury hotels for that price. I imagine with lots of staff and smoother operations. My GM got mad at me the other day because he happened to be present in the lobby, finally, and someone called wanting to speak with a manager and I told them I'll get him, without gauging what they wanted first. Maybe they have a complaint about the myriad common issues people have with the property that you're supposed to be overseeing. You know what they fucking want. Talk to your customers, please, so they can stop talking to me as if I have any way to solve their problems. Somebody was complaining daily that they wanted to speak to the manager about the horrible experience they were having, and he wasn't in for their entire stay. Except for the last day. He was talking to someone in the lobby. She came down exasperated looking for a manager again. I was happy to tell her he's finally here. He was talking to someone else and I directed her over to him. He pulled me aside after and told me not to do that. WTF. So you're right here after days of not coming to work, and this lady who was having a nightmare experience still can't talk to you? Dude. I wanted to work here for at least a year to get experience and possibly get promoted or work in a different hotel, but I'm not sure if I'm cut out for this industry. I feel miserable every day at this job, and I don't know how long I'll last or if it will get any easier for me. 3. I've been working the front desk at this property for about 10 years, front office supervisor for the last 3 years and night auditor for most of the rest. 3 weeks ago I put in my notice and I just knew at that time that I wouldn't be able to keep my attitude to myself with the knowledge that I'll be gone in a few weeks anyway. I wasn't going to go out of my way to be rude, but if a guest was shitty to me, I knew that I would probably be mouthy back to them. The next 3 weeks went by uneventfully. Now it's Saturday night. I have got one more shift tomorrow afternoon, which will be extremely quiet and chill, no doubt. We have some activity in the hotel, but it's not exactly super packed, and I'm not really slammed. I came in to about 60 arrivals, most of which got in before the wedding shuttles left about 2 hours after my shift started. I work by myself these days thanks to pandemic staffing, no big deal. And then he came. My white whale, the man who would be the one to draw out my sass and my condescension. It was about 9:30 p.m. The phone at the desk rings. Front desk, this is OP speaking. Mr. Class Act responds.
Hey, I just turned off the AC in here and the fans sound like a truck is driving through my room. It literally feels like it's going to explode.
Pretty common complaint, to be honest. I think that's true no matter where you are. Some people just aren't used to having the AC unit in the room with them. You didn't need to be so hyperbolic, but that's not going to ruffle my feathers by itself. I start to give him my standard reply. Okay, so
I don't want any bullshit comments, and I don't want you condescending to me either.
I pause. I admit I'm a bit disarmed by the way he started with me. I learned later that at check-in he had commented to me about how busy the hotel was, and I corrected him, saying that we were only at 50%. It seems he has taken offense to that and remembered that interaction from 6 hours prior. I'm thinking that my stock reply to this problem would easily fall under the category of bullshit comment. I usually offer to move the room or have an engineer come take a look, but explain that we use the same units in all the rooms, and that might not significantly reduce the noise level. So I go to a different stock answer. Whenever someone does not want any of the solutions I have to offer, I ask, okay, so what solution do you want me to offer you?
You're being a little asshole right now.
There he was. I'd finally found him. Without hesitation, I replied in the most natural and honest way I could, unfettered by fear of consequences. You're being an asshole too.
I'm being an asshole?
Yes, you are. Would you like me to offer you any solutions for your AC? He begins popping off about how hard he's going to come after me and blah blah blah. I inform him that my last day is tomorrow and I don't care. He hangs up. Less than a minute later, he's in the lobby. He's come around the desk to get close to me. I stay where I am. I don't even turn to face him. My hands stay in my pockets. My tone is still calm and even. I have him pegged as the kind of guy who's all bluster and doesn't seem drunk enough to do anything stupid.
You want to be a tough guy now? Call me an asshole again?
You're an asshole.
Oh, you're a tough guy, huh? Call me an asshole again?
You're an asshole. Yes, he asked me twice, and twice I obliged. He tells me he wants to talk to a manager. I explain that I am a manager, and that there is no one else working the desk. I ask him one more time if he wants me to do anything about his AC, and he runs off to the bar to find literally anyone else to complain to. Then he returns and leans against the desk, glaring at me.
Later when you leave, I'm gonna get you in the parking lot. Oh yeah, believe it.
Oh yeah? You're gonna stand there until my shift ends? Okay then. I take out my phone and bring up the local police's number, which I still have saved from all my years working night audit. If he's going to threaten me that blatantly, I don't have any issues skipping my normal 3-strike system and going straight for the nuclear option. I'm moments away from pushing the call button when the banquet manager arrives. I genuinely like this manager. He's reliable and generally very pleasant to work with, so I do feel bad that he now has to talk to this shithead. He also holds absolutely no authority over me, nor anything that happens at the front desk. The version of events that Class Act gives to the banquet manager is truly incredible. By Class Act's telling of the story, he called the desk to complain about the AC's noise, and then I immediately started calling him an asshole. And then he came down to the desk and I called him an asshole 3 more times. I'm staying quiet, just smiling. The banquet manager offers to have his room moved, which Class Act immediately accepts. I make him new keys and he goes on his way. My shift ends in a few minutes, and once my relief arrives, I plan to call the local police anyway, just to get me to my car. The cops here are pretty chill and usually have plenty of time for stuff like that. The only reason I didn't call the cops to have him kicked out of the hotel was because at that point the banquet manager had gotten involved, and then that would have been the banquet manager's problem too. He doesn't deserve that. 4. Okay, I have been having this long-ass month so far. It all started when Thanksgiving hit. I worked swing shift and it was a fairly busy night. Around 7 p.m., I was literally running up and down the stairs fixing TVs when an elderly couple came to check in. I asked for ID and credit card, since we do a $100 deposit at our hotel. And it was kind of a lot, but people are always messing up the rooms, damaging linen, smoking, etc. So the woman starts getting dramatic, saying we're stealing money from them. Her husband said he ought to jump the counter and knock my ass out. Before I can even tell them I'm not checking them in, they start arguing and leave the hotel. Guy comes back an hour later, completely different and friendly, oblivious to what he told me. Ended up checking him in while I was trying to be nice, but I left notes if they give trouble we were to kick them out. They gave no trouble afterward. Next 2 weeks there have been nothing but slow days and busy nights and constant locals making prepaid reservations, only to come check in with no deposit. And it's always the same shit.
It doesn't say you require a deposit.
We weren't told you needed one.
I've stayed before and I've never had to give a deposit.
They don't ask for a deposit at your other location halfway across the city.
Last Sunday, same thing but even dumber. One girl came in with 2 males. I recognized the name of the guest because I actually cancelled her reservation the night before on Saturday. She made another for Sunday and tried to check in. When I ask for deposit, they start calling up people to send them money to cover the incidentals, since none of them have the money save for one male who had $60 on a credit card, but would require $100. She pays cash, I check them in, and I don't give them keys since I'm waiting for the deposit. They walk outside, not even 20 seconds pass, and I see the girl with both of her hands on one of the males, and she's clutching his shirt like when a bully intimidates a victim. She starts throwing punches. The guy tries to get away and got in the car with the other male. Girl hangs onto the car while it drives off, and she lets go, sticking the landing like some cat. I get her money ready and tell her she's not welcome here because I'm not making my guests or night auditor deal with that shit tonight. Car with the two males comes back around 1 minute later. The girl is outside, asking one of the guests that was coming to check in if she can borrow their phone because the two males supposedly took her phone. The dude said yeah, but that's when the two males came back and proceeded to start arguing again with the girl and even got disrespectful to the guy who was going to lend the girl his phone. I call security, but by then the guy's left and the girl is sitting outside on the bench. Security comes and asks her to leave, and that was that. And then, just this weekend, another damn curveball. I was off for 4 nights, came back to work Friday. Overall, it was okay. Still had people complain about the deposit, but the shift went smooth. Saturday comes and damn it sucked. I checked in a nice lady on Friday, one of my more pleasant interactions. Saturday comes though, and basically what ended happening is that her husband passed away in the room. The family walks in and 10 minutes later the wife calls and says he's unresponsive and not breathing. Medics come and try to revive him, but when they come down they say he didn't make it. It was such a trip to see that, tragic, no doubt, and seeing their family pour in, very emotional, and as in much shock as me, was heartbreaking, man. Family left by 7, and one member who was in another city came late, and I spoke to them for about 30 minutes about what had happened. It's just sad, man. And then to top it off, I had to kick 2 homeless people off the property who were hanging out by the side entrance with 2 shopping carts and all their shit on the floor. I will mention that this homeless girl had the audacity to ask me if her and her friend can hang out in the stairwell, to which I responded no. Afterwards, she went to the side with her male friend, and then proceeded to grab a bucket, went to a corner and went to the bathroom right in front of the security camera. Told her to please leave. She started screaming at me, so I called security and he kicked them off the property. This past Sunday was too much. Past few weeks have been too much. As far as I go, I'm good, but shit, man. Strangers really don't care if they bring other people down to their level of stress and immaturity. I know it's more than that. It's life, it's choices. It's just the way shit goes sometimes when having this kind of job. I just needed to vent a bit because it's been a messed up couple of weeks. 5. So I'm a front desk assistant for an extended stay hotel in a small suburban city in Michigan. We're about 3 years old and I've been working here since before it opened. This is the second hotel I have worked at from opening. I generally work 3 days a week on second shift, 4 p.m. to 12 a.m., and 2 nights a week on audit. It is a fairly great place to work. Management is pretty laid back and our staff get along like family. I have quite a few interesting experiences. Here is one. On this particular day, I was working second shift, and as we have a limited desk staff, I'm alone after 5 p.m. At around 6 p.m., I check in a gentleman. We'll call him Sad Guy. I do my typical hospitality small talk. How are you today?
Not great, to be honest.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I hope you have a better night.
Me too.
I get his ID and credit card, check him in, and direct him to his room on the first floor. All is quiet, and it looked like it would be a great night. Oh boy, was I wrong. At around 8 p.m., a sweet little old lady checks in. We had pleasantries and some small talk. As she wanted a first-floor room, I had rooms available on the side around Sad Guy. I check her in, and she turns to walk towards the hallway, as another guest is walking to the lobby. He stops the lady and looks up at me, informs her that she may not want to go that way right now. Confused, I walk out into the lobby. As the gentleman explains, there is a naked man sitting in the hallway. What? The lady and I exchanged looks, and after the shock, I suggest that sweet old lady should probably go out and collect her luggage, and I will deal with the situation. She nods agreeingly. Then I speed walk into my employee laundry room, grab a waffle blanket off the shelf. As I head down the hallway, I am unfolding the blanket and holding out in front of me. I reach the room, and I'll be damned, there is a fully naked man sitting on the floor outside his room. I toss the blanket over him, and as calmly as possible say, "You locked yourself out?"
Yeah.
He's very drunk. It happens, I say as I unlock the door with my universal key. Here you go. That guy stands up, then tries to hand me back my blanket. I'm sorry. Oh, here. Oh, no. You keep that. He goes in and door closes behind him. As I'm heading back to the desk, the sweet old lady is in the lobby.
Is the coast clear yet?
Yes, I'm so sorry, ma'am. She pats me on the back.
It's okay. It's not your fault, young lady. And you did well.
Thank you. 5 minutes later, my phone rings. Small Town Hotel, 4 to 12 speaking. How may I help you? Yeah, hey, so my dad checked into your hotel. He's not answering my phone calls or texts. Can you transfer me to his room? Of course, what's his name? Sad guy. Oh, snap. I transfer the call. Phone rings again after a few minutes. Small Town Hotel. Yeah, it's Sad Guy's son again. He isn't answering the phone. Would you be able to go check on him? I'm gonna be honest. I've already encountered him not long ago. He accidentally locked himself out of his room, naked. Naked? Are you serious? My God, I'm so sorry. He then explains that it is the anniversary of his grandfather's, Sad Guy's dad's, death, and his father gets very depressed around this time. I let him know I put him back in his room and I empathize about the issue. About 30 minutes later, the son comes in. I let him go check on dear old dad. He spends about an hour or so and comes back to the desk and wants me to keep an eye on his dad and call him if anything happens. Gives me his cell number and leaves. Then at around 10 p.m., 4 officers walk into my lobby asking about Sad Guy. They go knock on the door. One officer comes and I give him a key to open the door. They go in and talk with him. Then an ambulance shows up and paramedics come in and I direct them to Sad Guy's room. As this is happening, my head housekeeper had come in to do some late-night catch-up on laundry. Her and I are watching the surveillance cameras. We watch as paramedics go in. We end up seeing Sad Guy leave with police out the side door and get in the cruiser. One officer comes to speak with me and get a report from me. I explained how he locked himself out naked, and I had to let him back in the room, how his son was concerned about him. They exclaimed that yes, the son called them. He was worried about his personal safety. I asked if he damaged the room. They said nothing major. Then he walks over to his partner and another officer, and I hear one of the officers say loudly, "He was naked!" He glances over to me, and I nod knowingly, then shakes his head and tries to stifle a chuckle. They leave, and all is quiet. My head housekeeper, being the girl she is, goes to see what damage he did to the room. Just a lamp got knocked over, but nothing broken, nothing major. The son calls again. I let him know. Sad guy is okay. Was conscious, but went with the police. He said okay and thanked me for my help, and then apologized for his dad's behavior. At midnight, I went home and had a cold brew reflecting on the craziness of the day. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Coahw, episode 78. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use and sent in stories for use in this video. If you yourself would like to send in a story, you can send it to kingofthecities@gmail.com. That is kingofthecities@gmail.com, and you will find that in the description of this and pretty much every video, along with all sorts of other exciting information, like the Hellfreezer P.O. Box, Patreon, merchandise link to the Teespring store, Twitter, Facebook. Let's ignore that, I'm going to remove it eventually, but it's there anyway. And links to all the stories included in this video, with the exception of course, the subscriber submission, which I can't link to because it's an email. And I'm not giving you my email password. No. Very bad. Alright, I have a vaccination booster appointment tomorrow, so I'm going to get tomorrow's video done today, which I should do anyway, so that I can just hopefully relax when I come home tomorrow, because I'm not sure. Apparently there's not a major reaction. Most reports seem to be pretty chill regarding this sort of thing. Unlike when I got my first 2 vaccines, there was like, well, there's a slight chance of blood clots. You know, it's fine, don't worry about it, but maybe blood clots. But I was actually fine with those 2. But there's going to be a different vaccine this time, because apparently they work better if you mix them. But it seems to be okay. I've looked it up, seems to be okay. I just thought I'll do that. Check the P.O. Box I mentioned, see if anything else has arrived. I think a couple of things have, actually. And then I'll buy something for Christmas dinner. So let's hope I don't have a reaction, because I've got a lot to do tomorrow. Okay, and with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.